The old house felt like a tomb. It had been closed up for weeks, and the air was so thick and cold it woke me with a jolt. Just then, a gentle arm wrapped around my shoulders. It was my mother. "Darling," she said, her voice soft. "Are you still upset? I know losing Clara was hard, but we have to keep going." I was staring at a framed family picture. My mother followed my gaze and smiled sadly. "Such a good child," she whispered. My brother Ethan then walked in, holding a large gift box. "Don't be so sad," he said. "Mom and Dad got you a present." "Thank you," I rasped, my voice thick with disuse. Inside the box was a beautiful doll. It had curly brown hair with two blue clips, a perfectly sculpted face, and an intricate dress. They had even bought a huge bag of extra clothes and accessories. But as I looked into its shiny glass eyes, a shiver of unease ran down my spine. My mother carefully stroked the doll's hair. "Isn't she lovely?" she asked, her face full of adoration. "Keep her with you, and it will be like Clara is always here. We'll call her baby." She tried to hand me the doll. My heart pounded, my hands grew clammy, and I instinctively pulled away. My parents looked hurt. "Are you mad we didn't take you with us?" my mother asked. "You promised Clara you'd stay home and pray for her for 49 days after she passed. We didn't want to stop you from doing something so meaningful." I quickly shook my head. "No, I'm not mad at all." This was the first time they had ever given me a gift. Ethan's smile faded. "Then what's wrong? You don't like it?" "Mom and Dad went all the way to get it custom made for you because they were so worried." Clara always said girls like these things. I lowered my head, pretending to wipe away a tear. "No, I love it. It's beautiful, just like Clara was. I was just thinking about her." The moment I took the doll, those dark, hollow eyes seemed to bore right into me again. My family was looking at me with such gentle expressions, a sight I'd never witnessed before. That kind of love had always been reserved for Clara. She was the family's little princess. When people talked about the Peterson family, they didn't think of their business empire. They thought of their daughter. But now, after Clara's death, my parents were treating me like their own child. They cared about my feelings, tried to understand what I liked. They were finally giving me the affection I had always craved. In my past life, I was so foolishly moved by this. I did everything they asked, desperate for things to stay this way. I had forgotten how much they used to dislike me, how they often acted like I wasn't even there. Sometimes, Ethan seemed to truly hate me, yelling at me and calling me greedy and pathetic, all because Clara had once given me a piece of her jewelry. He especially hated my face, often saying that even though I resembled his sister, I wasn't worth a single hair on her head. But did they really hate my face just because I looked like Clara? They had only adopted me because Clara was gravely ill with bone cancer. Her dying wish was to have a little sister, and I was the girl she had chosen from the orphanage. Under the guise of a proper upbringing, my parents had forbidden me from running, jumping, or eating too much. I had to stay by Clara's side and make her happy. Only Clara had been truly kind to me, treating me like a real family member. I had grown to depend on her, agreeing to all her requests. The memories came rushing back. My mother patted my hand. "As long as you like it." I had a little bed custom made for her, too. "It's already in your room, right next to yours." The three of them seemed to relax, a satisfied look on their faces. "There are other gifts, too," my mother said. "We'll help you decorate your new room later." That new room was the one I had been sleeping in for half a month. A cold dread settled in my stomach. Just then, I started coughing heavily. "Mom, I think I have a cold," I said. "Can we open the window for some fresh air?" My mother's voice became sharp. "You're sick." She pulled her arm away from me and took the doll back. I looked at her confused. Her eyes shifted nervously. "Of course, dear. For now, you should stay in your old room. I'll keep baby with me so she doesn't catch your germs. Mrs. Nelson, please take some people to open the windows in her room and give it a thorough cleaning and disinfection." My father, Mr. Peterson, called out to Ethan, who was about to head upstairs. "Ethan, get the doctor over here later." "Dad, it's just a cold. I'll be fine in a few days," I insisted. My mind was racing, trying to come up with a plan. Once I was in that prepared room, it would be hard to leave. In my last life, I had placed the doll on that small willow wood bed every night. In the morning, it would have moved inexplicably. I hadn't paid attention back then, thinking my mother had just come to check on me. I was a heavy sleeper. Later, I grew more and more tired, and my skin became pale. I thought I was sick and asked to go to the hospital, but they just told me to rest, hiring a caregiver to keep me company. I lay in bed all day, unaware that my soul was slowly being drained. I slept longer and longer. One day, I woke up unable to move or speak. A pair of pale hands, with veins showing through the skin, gripped me tightly. A familiar face smiled, a sinister smile. "It finally worked," she said. Who was in my body? And where was I now? When I saw my parents, I wanted to scream, to beg them to save me. I was suffocating, but their faces were impassive. "She's useless now," my mother said. "Get rid of this thing quickly. We don't want bad luck." My mother handed a pair of scissors to Clara, who was now in my body. She said, "Why should I suffer from a horrible illness, aching so much I can't sleep, while you get to be happy and healthy? I want a healthy body, you know." Clara tore out my hair with her bare hands, then used the scissors to cut off my limbs. I felt the pain spread through me, but I couldn't make a sound. "Clara, burn it," my father said. "After it's burned, the resentment will be gone. Her soul will completely disappear." That's when I realized the person in my body was Clara, the one who had been so kind to me. The person who promised I would be her favorite sister had tricked me into a deadly trap. I spent the next few nights in my room making plans. On the fourth day, I took the stack of scriptures I had copied and went out. I bought red cloth and a nice box to put them in. At a temple, I had the two people following me bury it in front of Clara's tombstone. I also picked up some things I had ordered a few days ago and hid them. When I got home, my mother was waiting for me with the doll. She took my hand. "Darling, you're our treasure. Come, I'll show you." The curtains in the room were open, letting in the sunlight, but the light didn't seem to touch the inside. On the little willow wood bed for the doll were expensive silk sheets. The bed wasn't small, an adult could lie on it. A huge crystal chandelier hung in the middle of the ceiling. 2 new table lamps were on the nightstand, with lampshades shaped like flowers. At the foot of the bed, 2 round floor lamps stood against the wall. If you ignored the fancy decorations, the lights seemed to be arranged in the shape of a sitting person. My bed and the doll's bed were in the middle, the doll's bed facing mine. In my last life, I was so taken with these beautiful things that I never noticed the details. Now my eyes were full of suspicion. "These lights are all very dim," my mother said. "Don't worry about the electricity. You can leave them on all night. Clara said girls like this kind of cozy room. And mood lighting. I don't really get it. Is there anything else you want to add?" "Thank you, Mom. This is perfect. No need for anything else." The nightstand was covered in expensive air fresheners. My mother took out a bottle and held it up. "I know you haven't been sleeping well," she said. "I bought you some special sleep incense. It has a nice osmanthus scent. Just light a bottle every night and you'll sleep soundly for a long time." I suppressed the urge to gag and pretended to be happy and surprised. "Mom, you're so thoughtful." My mother stroked the doll's smooth hair, placed it on the bed, and tucked it in. "Let her start sleeping with you tonight. I'll bring some new clothes and accessories tomorrow to change her into." "I don't understand, Mom. Does the doll need to change clothes every day? Maybe we can do it less often, so it's not too much trouble for you." Her tone was a little cold. "They have to be changed and washed every 2 days. After all, you'll be playing with her and holding her every day. It wouldn't be good if she got dirty." I sneered to myself. She thinks I'm dirty, doesn't she? After she left, I locked the door and sat on my bed. "But this doll is really ugly," I muttered, not too loud, not too soft. "It's so annoying." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw its black eyeball twitch. I smirked. "Ugly thing," I whispered, flipping the doll over and covering it with a pillow. I wasn't sure if Clara could communicate with my parents yet, so I had to be careful. Then, I put on a mask and gloves and tiptoed to the bathroom with the bottle of incense. I heated the bottle in scalding water until the contents melted, then flushed it all down the toilet. I even flushed the tiny paper shreds from the bottom of the bottle. My heart was pounding, terrified I would be caught. I quickly took out the incense I had bought, put it in the empty bottle, and added a drop of diluted osmanthus oil. The fake incense was almost identical to the real one. It cost me nearly $100,000, but thankfully Clara had transferred a lot of money to me before to earn my trust. The bottle my mother had given me was made from cremated ashes and corpse oil, and it was enchanted with evil talismans. It was a death spell, meant to make someone fall into a deep coma and have their soul leave their body. The incense I had bought was a genuine plant-based one with a calming effect. That night, I viciously stabbed the doll's head a few times with an embroidery needle, put it back in its original position, and got into bed. Just like in my last life, my mother came to tuck me in. She turned on the dim, creepy lamps, lit the incense, and placed it on the nightstand. Watching the pale yellow smoke rise, a satisfied smile appeared on her face. She told me to sleep early. After she left, I didn't lie down right away. I took out some workbooks and pretended to do homework, then slumped over the desk, pretending to sleep all night. It wasn't until almost dawn that I quietly crawled back into bed and fell asleep. My mother woke me up after 11 a.m. She calmly took the doll away, saying she was going to pick out some new clothes for it. The anxiety I had been feeling eased a little. Downstairs, Ethan looked at my tired face and smiled. "Did you sleep well last night?" "Very well," I said. "I just feel like I haven't had enough sleep." I scratched my head shyly. He and my father exchanged a look, and their smiles widened. My mother's attitude toward me today was noticeably warmer. I held the doll, now in new clothes, and acted very happy. I felt calmer. It seemed that Clara was, for now, trapped in the doll, unable to move or speak, just as I had predicted. I repeated my actions that night, secretly replacing the deadly incense. This time, I actually lay in bed and slept. In the middle of the night, I felt a faint, cold chill coming from the little willow wood bed beside me. The lights in the room dimmed instantly. I shivered. Tap, tap, tap. A faint sound like tiny leather shoes on the floor began. Tap, 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 tap. The sound was stiff and seemed to be getting closer to my bed. A cool breeze blew over me. My exposed arms and neck felt an icy itch like hair had fallen on them. A dark shadow loomed silently over me, a cold, corpse-like aura pressing down. I snapped my eyes open. In the dim light, a pair of dark, hollow, yet infinitely evil eyes met mine. Its mouth split into a grotesque grin, and two blood-red fangs appeared. They were aimed right at my neck. I knew a bite would cause immense damage to my soul, and it seemed surprised to see me awake, but the surprise quickly turned into a more ferocious, greedy look. It lunged at me. I tightened my grip on the object I had hidden under my blanket. Oh no, I was frozen, unable to move. A bone-chilling cold shot through me. I watched helplessly as its teeth got closer and closer to my skin. At the last moment, I mustered all my strength, slashing my palm with the ritual tool in my hand. The fangs were almost touching me. I jerked up my bleeding left hand and grabbed the doll. The blood from my palm stained its body. With a soft, sizzling sound, the doll let out a silent, sharp laugh, its body struggling violently. I grinned, my bloody hand tightly gripping its faintly struggling body. "Gotcha, my dear cousin." The doll's glass eyes filled with terror. A steel needle I had prepared earlier pierced the top of its head. It instantly stopped moving. I quickly got out of bed and used a stool to pin it to the floor. I knew that physical damage was only temporary. As long as it was in this room with all its enchantments, it would just wake up again. From the bottom of my closet, I took out a thicker steel needle and a bag of fake bones. Taking a deep breath, I climbed onto the doll's willow wood bed. This bed was a key part of the spell. Using the needle, I painstakingly scraped away the barely noticeable black symbols carved into the headboard and footboard. The moment the runes were gone, the sinister aura in the room seemed to weaken. Only then did I dare to put on gloves and remove the small bones hidden under the bed slats. These were probably Clara's real bones. I quickly replaced them with the fake ones I had prepared. I used the same method to deal with the two floor lamps, copying the original black symbols but making them broken and incomplete, so they couldn't form a full talisman. I tested the switches to make sure the lights still worked, then stuffed everything into a black bag and hid it behind the curtain. By the time I finished, I was soaked in cold sweat. My left palm burned with pain, and my right hand ached so much I couldn't straighten it. The dark energy in the room was too strong. If it weren't for the special needles given to me by the temple master, I wouldn't have been able to destroy the runes. The core of the spell. I looked up at the huge crystal chandelier. Clara's most important skull was hidden there, the heart of the whole ritual. Only one key item was left. The temple master had said I had to completely destroy the soul-swapping ritual to be truly safe. The reason I was able to do all this so boldly in the room was that I knew my mother would leave immediately after lighting that special incense. She wouldn't stay a moment longer. That stuff had a lot of negative energy and drained a person's life force. None of them dared to stay in the room for long while it was burning. Otherwise, they wouldn't be wearing those expensive jade amulets around their necks day and night. They targeted me not just because I was an orphan with a specific birth chart that fit the ritual's requirements, but more importantly, because I was also a Peterson. Clara and I were actually blood relatives. My biological father was my mother's older brother, a true business genius who had died young. My mother had all her assets seized by my parents, who even used their influence to ruin her life. After giving birth to me, she could only secretly leave me on their doorstep, hoping to give me a chance at life. But they, to prevent me from getting any of the family fortune, immediately sent me to an orphanage. It wasn't until Clara got sick that they paid a fortune to a charlatan master for an evil soul-swapping ritual. Only then did they bring me back from the orphanage, making me feel grateful and willing to walk into this death trap. The reason I was able to be reborn with my memories was because of what my biological father had done. In his short life, he had developed the company and done countless charitable deeds, accumulating immense good karma. After his death, he gave up reincarnation and promised to serve the underworld for 100 years in exchange for a chance for me, a soul who died unjustly, to be reborn. The people from the underworld had told me the whole truth right before my soul was about to disappear. I put all the bones into the bag, hid it behind the curtain, and then took a shower before getting back into bed. My body slowly warmed up. I set my alarm and quickly fell asleep. This was the first time since my rebirth that I had slept so peacefully. The next day, I applied a thin layer of waterproof foundation to make my face look paler. I had to find an opportunity to get rid of the bag, and I didn't want my mother coming into my room. This time, the doll looked like a real doll, its eyes empty, its sharp teeth gone. I carried her out of the room. My family was having breakfast. "You're up, darling," my mother said. "Why didn't you sleep in?" "I was thirsty, Mom. I couldn't get back to sleep." My mother casually took the doll. "You sit and eat. I'll go change her clothes." My father poured me a glass of water. "Your mother knows you like this doll, so dressing her up is her way of making you feel better." I smiled sweetly. "Thanks, Dad." I nodded obediently. "I know. What girl doesn't like pretty things?" My heart skipped a beat. She was so cunning. She saw me staring at my mother's back and immediately started explaining. I lowered my head and ate my breakfast slowly, pretending to have no appetite. When my mother came back downstairs and saw me like this, she didn't scold me. Instead, she asked the maid to make some of my favorite dishes and told me it was okay to eat more. I thanked her, but I was sneering inside. Of course it's okay. Eat more so you can be a better blood bag for her daughter. Eat well, sleep soundly, become weak, so the dark energy can get to you more easily and your soul can become unstable faster. Back in my room, I looked at the slingshot I had ordered and wondered if I should return it. They hardly ever came into my room, but what if they did? And I couldn't be sure I could hit the skull in the chandelier. Just as I was thinking, I heard my father leaving for work downstairs. This was my chance. I grabbed the black trash bag and threw it into a thicket of flowers outside the window, which was a blind spot for the cameras. Then I hid a small hammer in my sleeve and hurried downstairs. "What are you doing, Lily?" Ethan appeared behind me. "What mischief are you up to, sneaking around like that?" He looked at me suspiciously, then saw the flower bed, and his face changed. "You touched Clara's roses," he said, his voice full of anger. I stumbled and sat on the ground. "Ethan, you scared me. You walk so quietly." A flicker of disgust crossed his eyes, but he helped me up. What's all this black stuff for? I picked up a small shovel. I'm digging out the soil and adding lime powder and other fertilizers. It will keep the bugs away and make my sister's favorite roses bloom even more. His expression softened a little. I'm sorry, Lily. I was just worried for a second. Clara used to love sitting in the garden and looking at these flowers. I nodded calmly and quickly filled the soil back in. Ethan, why aren't you at the company? Why did you come home? Dad forgot a file. My meeting was close to home. The sound of children playing nearby came through the window. Ethan complained, "These kids are so annoying. Yesterday they threw a stone and hit Mrs. Jenkins' dog." Throwing stones. I looked up at the camera above the gate. My eyes lit up. Yes, now I didn't have to return the slingshot. Mom, I said that afternoon, holding a few broken crystal beads. A few crystals on the chandelier in my room broke. My mother's face turned deathly pale. She gripped my wrist tightly. I bit back the pain. Quick, take me upstairs. She was flustered and about to call my father. Mom, it's just a few of the small ones at the bottom that broke, I said. The top part is fine. Only then did she calm down, but I added, I already sent a picture to a technician to see if it can be repaired. It works now, but what if the top part was hit? She became anxious again. Call him to come over quickly. Soon, 2 technicians in work clothes arrived. My mother repeatedly told them to be careful. As they were about to take down the chandelier, she saw me still standing there. Lily, go downstairs and make some tea. I'll watch them. I'll pay them later. In the living room, I transferred $100,000 to the 2 technicians. They weren't just technicians. They were masters I had found through a contact. One of them messaged me. Done. The core item has been replaced. The chandelier looks exactly the same. No one will ever know. Your mother is very generous. She insisted on giving us a $600,000 tip. Then, another master sent me a voice message. A word of warning, young lady. Don't let that doll sleep on that willow wood bed. That bed is extremely evil. The wood was soaked in the blood of people who died unjustly for 49 days. It's incredibly malevolent. My heart pounded. My palms were icy cold. I clutched the small box with the real bones in my pocket. After they left, I heard the children's laughter again. I silently apologized in my heart. The children would have to take the blame for this. My mother sat on the sofa, looking at me with disapproval, the doll still in her arms. How did the light break? She asked. Did you open the windows all the way? I lowered my head, feigning guilt. I'm sorry, Mom. The room felt a little damp, and I was worried the doll's bed would get moldy, so I opened them to air it out. I was only gone for a minute, and... She frowned. Baby won't get moldy. Don't open the windows so wide in the future. And what if the light had fallen? Do you know how dangerous that is? Dangerous for her baby, right? I won't open them so much anymore, I said quietly, admitting my mistake. She took a tissue and wiped away my fake tears. It's okay. Mom isn't mad at you. I'm just worried about your safety. That night, I overheard my parents and Ethan talking about it in the study. It's normal, Mom, Ethan said. Kids are mischievous. Not long ago, some kids even threw stones at a dog. My father chimed in. It must have been an accident. Besides, you checked inside and everything's fine. We just have to be patient. I quietly carried the doll back to my room. I could feel it acting strangely in my arms. It gently rolled its eyes, as if sensing something was wrong. Then, its eyes filled with despair. I figured it wouldn't be able to walk around at night anymore. I casually tossed the doll on the floor. It wasn't even pretending anymore, just staring at me with hollow eyes. I stared back. Look all you want, I said. Soon you won't be able to see anything anymore. The next morning, I offered to bathe the doll. My mother, who was combing its hair, paused for a moment and then smiled and agreed. In the bathroom, the doll lying in the baby bathtub saw me walk in. The faint spark of life that had just appeared in its eyes vanished instantly. Come on, Lily, my mother said. Watch me wash her. The water can't go over her neck, and her hair has to be washed with the special shampoo I bought. As she bent down to rinse the foam from the doll, the red string of the jade amulet around her neck became visible. Mom, that jade is so beautiful, I said. She rinsed her hands and tucked the string back in. You like it? I'll get you a better one another day. No, it's fine. I was just curious. Can you wear it in the bath? Won't it damage the jade? A smile of ridicule and disdain tugged at the corner of her lips. Silly child, water nourishes jade. How could it get damaged? So she wouldn't even take it off when bathing. At night, I couldn't sleep, so I picked up the doll from the floor and put it in the basin I used for changing the incense. I soaked it for several hours, then used a hot hairdryer to dry it. The doll's gaze shifted from resentment to fear. I pretended not to notice. What could I do to get the amulets they never took off? Switch to an alkaline body wash? Impossible. I couldn't get into their rooms. They lived on the third floor, and the hallway had 2 cameras. More importantly, if they discovered the jade was damaged, they would probably suspect me and get help from the master again. It was safer to swap them secretly. I gave the master a design and asked him to find someone to make identical but ineffective amulets. The amulets worn by my family nourished the soul inside the doll day and night, making her immortal. So I couldn't truly harm Clara right now. Physical damage would only hurt her for a little while, and she would recover as long as she had the amulet. I ran my fingers through my hair in frustration. The things in the small wooden box couldn't be used yet. I couldn't think of a solution. For now, I could only follow the same path as my last life. Over the next few days, I ate less and less, my face and lips became pale, and I lost a few pounds. But it was much better than becoming a skeleton like last time. I slept for longer periods, but I always had dark circles under my eyes and looked exhausted. Sometimes when talking to them, I would have memory lapses. My family smiled more and more. Their careful greetings turned into perfunctory indifference. One day, I spoke weakly. Dad, Mom, can you take me to the hospital? I feel unwell and I have no energy. They ignored me. I felt a little scared, my hand trembling as I held my cup. Please, Mom, Dad. Ethan impatiently slammed his chopsticks down. My father finally spoke. Haven't you always been healthy? My mother sipped her soup and said, Yes, dear, you just need to rest. I'll find a caregiver to look after you. She seemed anxious, as if the matter was settled and my obedience no longer mattered. She was probably frustrated from staying cooped up with me for a month. Before, she loved going out shopping with her friends. Because of my bad mood, the doll was soaked in water more often. 2 days later, the caregiver arrived. She was arrogant. So, you're Lily? You're pretty thin. We'll be scientific about this. You'll only eat vegetarian food for now. Your parents said you don't need to come downstairs anymore. I'll bring your meals up. It was just like in my last life. At first, she was just neglectful, but later, when she realized my parents didn't care about me at all, she became completely unrestrained. When I couldn't go downstairs, she would bring up a few lettuce leaves. If I didn't eat, she would pinch my arms and legs. She was just purely malicious. Later, she only let me drink water. I now suspect I fainted from hunger, which is how Clara managed to replace me. Then I'll be in your care, Auntie, I said, my head bowed, looking submissive. My mother had hired her own younger aunt, a sticky-fingered woman who was only kicked out in my last life after stealing jewelry from Clara and the doll. But she never knew the details of my family's soul-swapping ritual. My parents weren't home today. She was touching things, her gaze wandering. But when she saw the doll, she didn't dare touch it. My mother must have warned her. She was, however, free to go into my parents' and Ethan's rooms. I watched her diligently change their bedsheets, a smile playing on my lips. I had wanted to bring this woman back to get revenge, but now I had a better idea. At night, I took the key and went to Clara's room, locking up all the jewelry on her desk. The next day, when the caregiver brought my food, I placed my tablet on the table. Auntie, I spilled some water. Can you help me wipe it? She impatiently grabbed some tissues and walked over. On the tablet was a picture of a jade amulet with a price tag that made her hand tremble. The greed in her eyes was unmistakable. She smiled. Lily, dear, the jade pendants your parents and brother wear are so beautiful. Why don't you have one? My expression dimmed and a bitter smile appeared on my lips. Only family members can wear those. My parents and brother never take them off. But Auntie, I'm just their adopted daughter. My eyes became vacant. I I just wanted to find someone to make a replica so I could feel like I was part of the family. She picked up the tray and poked my forehead a few times. You silly girl. They treat you like a burden. They don't even talk about you. She took several pictures with her phone. After she left, I deleted the Photoshop picture. Young master, new business has arrived. A message read. For the next few days, you just stay outside the villa like this. The caregiver was now the one lighting the incense for me. Why do I have to light this every night? She grumbled. And why are there so many lights on? With a doll for company, you're so fussy. Auntie, you don't know the benefits of this calming incense? I said. After lighting it, even if there's a storm outside, you can't hear a thing. I sleep so soundly I can't even wake up. It's very good for sleep. Is it really that good? Yes, Mom had it custom ordered. Her eyes darted around. Lily, why don't you give me a couple? My sleep hasn't been great lately, but don't tell your mother, okay? She's a bit stingy and won't let me touch anything in your room. She had already taken 2 new ones from the cabinet. I frowned in fake distress. Of course you can have them. I have more than 10. But Mom has counted them all. If you don't light them for 2 nights, it should be fine. It's settled then. She tucked the incense into her pocket and left. The doll looked at me with increasing fear. I smiled and continued to toss it on the floor. The willow wood bed nourishes you, so I won't let you sleep on it. The amulets protect you, so I'll replace them all. It's done, a message from the master read. Your aunt is quite rich, huh? She made an offer herself. Contact me when you get the real ones. It wasn't long before I received a message from the master. A few days later, the caregiver was beaming, and her attitude toward me had improved. Lily, I have a question, she said. Are the cameras on the 3rd floor always on? Yes, I nodded. Mom and Dad just had them installed. They said it's to prevent thieves, but the security here is already so good. I don't understand it either. Her face fell. But there are occasional power outages. Where's the circuit breaker? I looked at her suspiciously. Why do you ask? She lied smoothly. Well, rich families have to pay attention to these things. I know how to fix circuits. If there's an outage, I can earn a little extra money. Okay, Auntie, I'll tell you, I said. But can you give me some meat tomorrow? No problem. In the middle of the night, the lights in the room went out. I quietly went out and watched the dark figure enter the rooms of my parents and Ethan. What she didn't know was that I had also put incense in her room. After the successful swap, I finally sent her away. A week passed, and my family was still acting as usual, not noticing anything wrong. My condition worsened. The caregiver often said I slept almost all day. To be honest, it was unbearable. To keep up the act, I could only eat 1 meal a day and lie in bed, almost sick of looking at my phone. The incense was almost gone. It was time to begin. That evening, my mother, as usual, brought the doll into my room early, telling the caregiver to light the incense properly, not to miss a single day. These next few days were crucial. I took out the small box. Inside, 2 thin red needles gleamed. I could almost hear the cries coming from within the doll. Let it go, cousin, I whispered. So you can see too? Why are you so cruel? Burning fire, seeping into the marrow of the soul, do you know how painful that is? I was kind. I only pierced its 2 eyes with the needles. My parents would do the rest. The next day, my mother came in with a pair of scissors. Her eyes were red, looking at me in disbelief. The smile that appeared on my face. Mom, I said, throwing my arms around her. Clara, is that you? I nuzzled her cheek. I was so familiar with her little mannerisms from my last life. She burst into tears. You're finally back. They cut the doll's body to pieces and burned it. Baby, Mom and Dad will take you to a new house. It has the ocean view you like. This place is bad luck. Good, I said. I hate this person who looks like me. Why does she get to be so healthy? But, of course, the ritual failed. The backlash from the dark magic soon started to affect my family. My parents' hair began to fall out in clumps, and minor illnesses became more frequent. Ethan started to lose control, becoming easily agitated and unable to focus on work. My father also started grooming me to take over the company. I looked out the window and laughed. In the years to come, I would play the part of Clara perfectly, letting them get used to the real me, and then slowly take over the family business. I couldn't wait for the day they finally learned the truth.